Hey, yo, Pro Wrestling Podcast listeners, help us out and click subscribe to show your support. And don't forget, if you are a Facebook user, grab on to the Titans of Podcasts and Wrestling fan group. It is a great conglomerate of all sorts of podcasts, wrestling-related content, all types of news, tidbits, rumors, all that stuff posted there for all you diehard wrestling fans. And while you're at it, if you're on Facebook, check out Wrestler Unstoppable. It is a great interactive turn-based wrestling game. It is free for everyone, and it is a game that won't cost you $60 to get unlimited enjoyment and great times. Hello everyone, and welcome to this very special Tuesday night live episode of the Pro Wrestling Podcast. This episode, we're going to wrap up the fan voting for the first round of our Intercontinental Champions, greatest Intercontinental Champions of all time tournament. The voting for that will close tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we have all sorts of things to talk about. We've got Raw reaction, we got Smackdown breakdown, we got all sorts of news and rumors that we need to address. And rather than do one of those pre-recorded, mixed up episodes, I decided to do a live one for a couple reasons. One, I've been getting more comments from the Sound Off line, which if you have not used that yet, go to the Pro Wrestling Sound Off line at 267-642-1160, where you can give us your questions, comments, concerns, topics you want to talk about, whatever it is, in our talk to text service. So you leave the message, they convert it to text, and it shows up right here on my screen, so I can go ahead and address questions live in real time, which very cool if you ask me. We didn't have anything like that when I was a diehard wrestling fan as a young guy. So it's very cool to have something new and innovative to be able to offer the fans of the Pro Wrestling Podcast. Also, this episode, I'm excited to share this with everybody. We have a new webpage, so go to frowrestling.com. From now on, no more of that /this/that, all that other stuff. This time we're going to be going with just frowrestling.com. All of our premium episodes, our photo gallery, my history with some of the people I've hung out with in my wrestling fandom, the topics we'll be covering on the Pro Wrestling Podcast, news, rumors, all that kind of stuff will be listed there. Links to all of our sponsors, all that kind of stuff. Everything you would normally find on our other page is now going to be on frowrestling.com. By all means, check that out as soon as you get the opportunity. I wanted to have the opportunity to announce that new webpage tonight live. That way, if for some reason somebody wants to pop on and give comments live, I will address them tonight. If you are one of our loyal followers who know that I put an episode up every Tuesday night right around this time, I'm hoping you're surprised to find out that we have a live episode tonight. Also, while we're talking about all the pleasantries, if you want to become a member of the Pro Wrestling Podcast family, by all means, go to patreon.com/Pro Wrestling Podcast. We would love to have you be a contributor so you can be a part of the family. We'll get your name in all of our shout outs of our episodes. And if you are one of our top contributors, we will make sure we get you to co-host a live episode of Going Live at 9:05 on Saturday nights, 9:05 Eastern Standard Time every Saturday night, the Pro Wrestling Podcast. So we have a ton of stuff to actually talk about. If you have not done so yet, after last week's Going Live at 9:05, go over to the new fan voting link, frowrestling.com/fanvote. That is where you can get into round one of the Intercontinental Championship tournament voting that is going on right now. That tournament, I've already seen a lot of response. Thank you to all the people who pop on right away and contribute. It's awesome to see you guys get so into these things. I want to get into the news right away. So we got What Culture Pro Wrestling. WCPW, people are not all that familiar with here in the United States, but in the United Kingdom, they're huge. And if you're an online wrestling fanatic like myself, you'll find a lot of their stuff there as well. They have a World Cup 2017 coming up, and a lot of the bracket has been determined. So those who don't know about this World Cup 2017, they have taken wrestlers from different demographics around the world, from different geographical locations. There's a USA team, there's a United Kingdom team, a Japanese team, all that kind of stuff, Mexican team. There's a rest of the world team. And so those different teams had their own individual tournaments to determine their competitors who will go on to face each other in the World Cup. And some of those matches have been determined, and there's some really interesting pairings coming up in the World Cup bracketing. So, if you are a fan of British wrestling, I will tell you there's a guy there named Joe Coffey who is fantastic. It's one of those things where WWE, I know they've done this little soiree into the United Kingdom where they're doing this United Kingdom tournament and this new UK championship, but they've only scratched the surface of the quality of wrestlers that are over in the United Kingdom. Joe Coffey, in the first round of the World Cup tournament, will take on Michael Elgin of Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling fame. Hiromu Takahashi is going to be involved in the tournament. He's going to be representing Japan, taking on Lucky Kid, another European wrestler. Bad Bones is going to take on Penta L0M, better known to American fans as Pentagon Jr. from Lucha Underground. So again, you see the conglomerate of talent coming from all different parts of the world. To me, the number one match that has been announced so far in the opening bracket, Will Ospreay will take on Rey Mysterio. That's a match, I don't care who you are, if you are a diehard wrestling fan, you're dying to see something like that, because that's going to be one of those matches for the ages. Other talents are still awaiting their opponents. Zack Sabre Jr. is already advanced into the tournament. He's now officially in, as is Mike Bailey, another European talent. They're waiting for the tournaments of the different locales to finish up so they can find out who it is they'll be facing in the opening round. I want to get to some of the other news tidbits also. Why was WWE Talking Smack canceled? I mean, let's think about it for a minute. I hope people understand why I'm asking that question. Now, the news broke this week, one, that it was canceled, okay, so they're going to cease doing Talking Smack, except for after pay-per-views, and eventually they're going to eliminate the pay-per-view ones as well. Now, here's the problem I have with it. Vince McMahon, first off, apparently it was Vince's call. He's not often at the TV tapings anymore, but he was at Smackdown last week, and while he was there, apparently he just wasn't happy with the product that he saw on Talking Smack, and he decided to make the decision to cancel the show. Now, you would immediately think he's going to focus his energies on 205 Live, which I'd be fine with. The problem is, Talking Smack actually got higher ratings than 205 Live. If you look at WWE's programming, the pay-per-view episodes, the Talking Smack episode after the last pay-per-view ranked as like number 4 in weekly views on the WWE network, whereas the 205 Live almost never cracks the top 20. 205 Live is not working. It's not that the matches can't be good. It's that there's virtually no booking of the cruiserweight division. No one's doing anything to help foster that division. So fans are getting bored with the product. They'd rather see something off-scripted, and apparently that's what Vince McMahon's issue was, is that Talking Smack and Raw Talk were both non-scripted shows, more of a real reality-based show, and he didn't like that. He thinks it's like a danger to the business. I think Vince McMahon sometimes gets caught up in like 1970, 1980, 1990, when people were still fooled by professional wrestling being what it is. And the reality is that people are smart to the business now, and you have to give them something of substance. And we're not getting that right now. You know, a lot of the wrestling talent that's out there, I'm getting some feedback in the mic, so I apologize if you're listening live. Not entirely sure why that's happening. I'm going to try to rule it out, I promise. If you're somebody who's been paying attention to 205 Live, and if you like the talents that perform there, I'm with you. I think they've got all the talent in the world, but you're not getting the 3-4 month storylines that you want to see. Look, we've seen Jack Gallagher go against TJ Perkins about 45 times. I don't need to see that anymore. All right? I need to see something new, something exciting. Moving on, we're going to look at the next tidbit of news, which is actually potentially some serious news. Rey Mysterio, who is under contract to Lucha Underground, his contract is actually expired. So Rey Mysterio is now a free agent. As he is a free agent, he has begun negotiations with both Global Force Wrestling and World Wrestling Entertainment. Now here's the issue. In Global Force Wrestling, especially with the issues going on with Alberto El Patron and the huge Latino population that tunes into the GFW product, Mysterio would be a huge asset for them. WWE, he would just be another one of the guys, another talent. I'm not saying not to bring him in. I'm not saying he wouldn't pop the fans. I actually think it'd be better for Ray to go to WWE because he has a better opportunity for earning potential, merchandise sales, and one of the things I saw listed online that's a huge factor, his son is trying to get into the business at some point, and going to WWE may open the door to him getting an opportunity at the Performance Center, something Rey Mysterio would probably like to do as he continues to wind down to the end of his career. So where Rey Mysterio goes next, very much up in the air. Nobody really knows, but if I was a betting man, if Mysterio is smart, he'll go to WWE. Now, the reality is he's also very close with Alberto El Patron. He may want to go there to help get that company over, but the part that really throws me is he's spent the better part of the last year and a half in Lucha Underground, and he actually was doing some important things. He was creating really important storylines. He was a part of the show in a way that it didn't make his previous accomplishments look weak. It made him look like a fresh face. It made him have just this new feel about his character. And now you're going to put him in an opportunity to either do one of two things. Either he becomes like the sidekick to Patron, which he's done before in WWE. Not on camera, I'm saying. But obviously the two of them are very close. He's just going to follow his buddy around. Or he goes where he's already been a couple times. And, obviously I don't see any scenario where Rey Mysterio is booked to be world champion in WWE ever again. I could see Jeff Hardy. I can't see Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio, he's tiny to begin with. And when you couple that with the people who are on the roster right now, can you really see Rey Mysterio even trying to challenge Brock Lesnar? Or can you see Rey Mysterio getting in the ring? I'd hate to say Jinder Mahal because I think Mysterio could beat Jinder Mahal. But Mahal's not going to be champion for long. He's not going to beat John Cena. He's not going to beat Seth Rollins. He's not going to beat Roman Reigns or Braun Strowman or any people like that. So going to Raw or Smackdown is clearly setting him up for a mid-card run, which maybe that's all he wants at this point. Maybe more limited dates, not as many appearances, and he could add to his legacy. But I'll be curious to see where he decides to sign. It's like I said, it's very much up in the air at this point. I'm going to move on to Sasha Banks because she's in the news this week because she hinted at some big changes coming in her life in 2 years, which coincidentally is when her contract is up with World Wrestling Entertainment. And I don't know, I can't imagine why she'd be upset and want to leave the company. She's been booked as like one of the huge, most important talents in the women's division for the better part of almost 3 years now. She hasn't had any issues with that. She's in a main event program right now with Alexa Bliss. There's actually conversation she may be winning that championship at SummerSlam. So I don't see where she'd be upset with that. Her schedule, from my understanding, it's not one of those things where she's burnt out from being on the road. So I don't know why she would want to leave, and maybe that's not it. Maybe it's something completely unrelated to her wrestling career, but it at least gets people talking, and I really hope that that's not the case, because I think she adds some legitimacy to the WWE's women's revolution. I really do. And everybody in the world after this past week is looking forward to another topic we're going to talk about right now, and that's at the Mae Young Classic tapings, the face-off between the 4 horsewomen of mixed martial arts and the 4 horsewomen of WWE. You know they want to make that happen. You know they want to foster that feud, get people's blood boiling. The big one is Ronda Rousey. How do you get Ronda Rousey to leave the comfort of mixed martial arts, which there's obviously huge questions of whether she's going to return to that or not. She's made a ton of money, so she's obviously not financially needing to do something, but she may just want to do this. It sounds like something she's always had a desire to do, so I could see it happening. I just don't know who you put her against, unless it's one of these deals. And I had somebody bring up a great point the other day. Can you just see it now? Charlotte, Becky Lynch representing SmackDown, Bayley and Sasha Banks representing Raw, taking on the 4 horsewomen of mixed martial arts at the Survivor Series. I'd pay a lot of money to get in on that match. We're going to jump into our Raw reflection, okay? Because as I said a couple weeks ago, I'm not breaking down every match on Raw anymore. It just got too monotonous. If you're tuning into this podcast, you already have watched Raw. You know what happened. I'm going to give you my response to what I see. First off, the Seth Rollins segment where he's in the ring talking to Dean Ambrose. I don't understand why they had him do the apology angle. Seth Rollins has never been sorry for anything he's done in his life, going all the way back to Ring of Honor and the Independents. However, it was very interesting because it really does seem like it plants the seeds for a definitive reunion of the Shield. Now, the issue with that is Roman Reigns is so entrenched as being the top babyface, I don't know how you put Roman Reigns back into the Shield. Unless you have him get buried by Braun Strowman and you give up on the Roman Reigns-Brock Lesnar match at Mania. But I don't really see that happening. And I don't want to see them bring the Shield back for some 3, 4, 5 week run. If they're coming back, let them come back. Let them be a dominant force in wrestling. And I just don't see that happening. I don't. So we'll have to see. I actually kind of like the apology angle, if I'm being completely honest. But I think that Dean Ambrose is being booked in a very strange way for fostering his character. He was kind of buried ever since he lost the World Championship on SmackDown to AJ Styles. And now all of a sudden you're putting him with Seth after he pretty much just got obliterated by The Miz back-to-back pay-per-views. So I don't know. I don't know where they're going with Dean Ambrose. Moving on to Enzo and Cass. I actually loved Enzo on the mic this week. I thought it was really cool. I thought he did a great job. I was really surprised to see them give him so much latitude after all the comments last week about him having backstage heat. Of course, it brings out, he's going to sit at ringside and watch Cass come out. He slides out of the ring, and the Big Show comes out. And this wasn't even a match. But I like to see that they let the Big Show work him over a bit, and then Cass really makes the big comeback. Enzo getting in the ring and all that kind of stuff. It was very cool. Very different, not what I expected. I'm expecting them to put the match at SummerSlam, Cass versus the Big Show, Enzo in out there in the Big Show's corner. And I actually got a little bit of an inkling or a feeling that just maybe Enzo goes heel at SummerSlam and rejoins Cass as his manager. Enzo just, for some reason, WWE doesn't seem to want to push him as a single star. So maybe we see that heel turn at SummerSlam, and maybe that's how they put the band back together, as was reported last week by eWrestling News and WrestleZone. I'm going to move on to Elias Sampson, not because I want to. I thought the angle where he used the guitar and smashed it over Finn Balor's head, I thought that was actually really well done. That's not why I'm going back to him. It's driving me nuts. I think he is Macho Man Randy Savage's doppelganger. For those who don't know what a doppelganger, that's when somebody is an identically cloned look of somebody. He's like your mystery twin. Elias Sampson on Monday night looked like Randy Savage from like 1985. And I was totally blown away. I'm a huge Macho Man fan. I'm telling you right now, if you give him a pair of the yellow star trunks with some of those pink knee bands, give him some tape and give him the elbow, I'd have gone crazy. Elias Sampson would be my new favorite wrestler if they just let him be the new Macho Man. Now, of course, you can't do that. They tried to do that with CM Punk. It went over pretty well with CM Punk, but this guy really does look like him. It's driving me nuts every week. I want to get to Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor, because after the match, you have this thing you've just started. You just started a feud with Elias Sampson and Finn Balor, and now you're going to mix Bray Wyatt back into the fold. I don't understand. What the heck are they doing with Finn Balor? First, the guy is rumored to be going in for a world championship opportunity, and now he's doing nothing but being bounced around to every other heel talent there is on the roster. I don't understand. And I'm really concerned that at some point they're going to completely pull the plug on his push and put him into the Cruiserweight division, have him face Neville. I would love to see the match, but I don't want to see it in the Cruiserweight division. Elevate Neville to the main roster again like a regular superstar. Give the Cruiserweight title to somebody else. And then you could have these two go at it. But I don't want to see him get relegated there. And with him facing someone like Elias Sampson getting beat down, getting in matches with Bray Wyatt, that they're building Bray really strong. I can't see him beating Bray Wyatt. So what the heck are they doing? And obviously he's not getting a shot at Brock Lesnar anytime soon, which is a travesty since he never lost the title and they still haven't ran any angle where he gets an opportunity to regain that championship. Kind of ridiculous. Going to move on to one of the topics that everybody in the world is talking about today, Kurt Angle's big reveal. What a waste of my life. All right, look, I know people leading up to this were saying that Chad Gable might be his illegitimate son, or that Dixie Carter might show up at the show and say she had an affair, or maybe Stephanie had an affair and it would lead to Triple H wrestling Kurt Angle. I was hoping none of those things happened, but then I couldn't think of anything else that would happen, and the answer was so blaringly obvious. Chad Gable has gotten multiple singles matches now on SmackDown, and Jason Jordan's just been hanging out in the background doing nothing. So I should have seen that coming, and I didn't. And the big reveal being that Jason Jordan is Kurt Angle's illegitimate son from a relationship when he was in college. Whatever. I will give him this. You know, Kurt Angle and Jason Jordan actually look like they could be related. And I don't know. I'm not a fan of the angle. I hate it when you act like the fans are that stupid. But, I don't know. I have somebody shoot me questions here online. Thank you, whoever is tuning in live. I appreciate that. They're shocked that I'm going live tonight. Hey, look, I've got a great fan base right now. You guys are amazing. You tune into like every episode. So every once in a while, I'm going to switch things up. I'll throw out a live episode here and there because I need to do that for you guys. I know I get questions all week long, and I try to address them on Going Live at 9:05. But sometimes you don't want to wait till Saturday night to hear your perspective. You know, so that's why we did what we did tonight. So I'm going to get off Kurt Angle's big reveal because it was so depressing. What a build up to absolutely nothing. It sucks. And apparently Jason Jordan actually is in line for a pretty decent mid-card shot. I guess I'm okay with that. I just don't see the point in that. Just my opinion. So, moving on to the Hardys and the Revival. I'm okay with the Revival getting the win because obviously you're building them as a team for the future. My issue is the Hardys go out at the last pay-per-view and they put on an amazing match with the World Tag Team Champions. You know, the World Tag Team Champions that we haven't seen on TV in 2 weeks? Those guys. So now they go out, they pick up 3 victories over the Tag Team Champions at that pay-per-view. Of course, they lost 4 other falls, but they picked up 3 falls against the World Champions, and then they can't beat Gallows and Anderson or the Revival. It makes it look like what does that say about your World Tag Team Champions? They get beat 3 times by these guys, but Gallows and Anderson beat them, and this is not a knock on Gallows and Anderson. I think Gallows and Anderson have been completely misused for an extended period of time. I'm happy to see them finally getting some clout, but you can't have a feud with 2 tag teams at the same time. So the Hardys are either going against Gallows and Anderson or going against the Revival. I don't know what they're doing here. Why during the match they had, people sitting in the back of the having Gallows and Anderson in the back interview area watching the match? Why? If they're going to feud with them, get them in the match. If they're not, then leave them off the show. Unless you're going to make this a triple threat to determine a number 1 contender for the Tag Team Championship, which I expect the Revival to win. I actually would prefer that they didn't. I would prefer that Gallows and Anderson got their championship back because I thought they lost it way too soon earlier this year. I'm going to move on to the main event, Roman Reigns versus Samoa Joe. Every wrestling fan who's a smart mark saw this coming a mile away. Of course, the return of Braun Strowman. The only issue I have is this was one of the best Roman Reigns matches I've seen in months. And Samoa Joe has been putting on some stellar performances lately, too. I love the way they booked it. I love the way they made it so Braun Strowman wasn't just this unstoppable tough guy. Samoa Joe was choking him out with the coquina clutch and the Superman punches and everybody's down. I loved it. And then I love how, once Joe leaves, you got Braun totally annihilating Roman Reigns again. I don't care what WWE thinks. Roman Reigns is a heel and Braun Strowman is a face. And if they can't see that, they're morons. And I don't care who's selling more merchandise. That doesn't change what they are. The kids are still going to buy Roman Reigns shirts. That's just the way it is. Anybody who's not buying a Roman Reigns shirt wouldn't buy one whether he's a good guy or a bad guy. They're getting sick and tired of having a guy crammed down their throat. Samoa Joe sells merchandise and he's a bad guy since he got there, pretty much. By the way, speaking of the changes in some of the rosters and the shakeup of the pay-per-views and things like that we've been talking about lately on the episodes, the Battleground pay-per-view takes place in Philadelphia and yet to have all the tickets sell out. So much so that WWE is now offering discount ticket packages for Battleground. Now, myself, I'm actually in the Philadelphia marketplace, and I will not be going to the show. 1, I like to watch it on my television, but 2, if I was going to go, I wouldn't go to the show. I actually go to the Marriott Hotel. So for all the people in Philadelphia who listen to this podcast, all the wrestlers hang out at the Marriott Hotel at the International Airport in Philadelphia. Go there, go to the bar, hang out in the bar. Do not go walking up to these guys and ask them for autographs. You do that, you're not going to get one. You sit there, you order some food. You have to order food. If you don't order food, they're going to kick you out of the hotel because you're not a guest of the hotel. The minute you order food, you're a patron. Now you can stay there. Order some chicken wings or something. Order some chicken fingers and grab a drink and sit there and wait till they're done eating. Go out in the lobby and as they walk by, hey, You mind if I get an autograph? You will get an autograph from more people than I could possibly tell you. Most of the pictures posted on FroWrestling.com today in our gallery section, most of those were taken in the lobby of the Marriott Hotel. So, by all means, if you're in the Philadelphia marketplace or if you're traveling to Philadelphia to see Battleground, or if you don't have tickets yet and you want to get some cheap ones, now's the time. Check out the Marriott after the show. There's rumor going around that Saturday night's main event may be coming back to NBC. There's negotiations between WWE and NBC about bringing the show back on a sporadic basis. Make them special. This isn't one of those things where you put it on every Saturday or once a month or anything like that. But maybe 2 or 3 times a year would make it relevant. It would be a huge pop to the ratings for NBC. And it would be something that we had, for those of us who are like long-term WWE fans, we love watching Saturday night's main event. Some of our favorite memories are on Saturday night's main event. I don't know about you guys, but I always reflect on watching the Macho Man Randy Savage take on the Honky Tonk Man, the Hart Foundation coming out around the ringside with Jimmy Hart, the Honky Tonk Man and the Hart Foundation jumping Randy Savage, throwing Elizabeth to the ground, hitting Randy Savage with the guitar, Elizabeth running to the back and coming out with Hulk Hogan, who comes to the aid of the Randy Savages of the world and turns around and they do the big handshake and become somewhat united in battle that night. It was a killer moment. There's been several others, and I hope that we get that same feeling if they do bring the show back. The last time they tried to bring it back, it was so watered down. It was just another one. So hopefully they'll do something really spectacular with this. I got a question popping up here right now. It says, does Saturday main event have its own roster of guys who only wrestle 3 times a year? You know what? With all the part-timers WWE brings in, they probably could. You know, that would be a great way to do that too. Bring in the ones that are your part-timers that you don't want to take away from the main roster talents at WrestleMania, and instead go ahead and have them do, you know, Saturday night's main event. You can get some cool angles in there, save WrestleMania for the guys who are on the road all year long and who deserve those spots. In a little bit of Mae Young Classic news, there was a report out today I saw on eWrestling News. Taylor Wilde, and if you don't know who Taylor Wilde is, look at some YouTube videos of Impact Wrestling, TNA Impact Wrestling. A couple years ago, she was a huge talent in the Knockouts division, put on some great matches. She retired really early into her career, and she was slated to become a member of the field in the 32 women for the Mae Young Classic. And for whatever reason, she did not make it to she didn't make it into the competition. Turns out she released a statement on Twitter this week stating that the reason she had to pull out, and she was going to come out of retirement for the show, and she had to pull out because she has a major injury that she suffered during training. And that's really a shame too, because one, she's a fantastic wrestler. For anybody who was a fan of Impact Wrestling for the last several years, if you remember Taylor Wilde, she was great. And then she just disappeared. And the other thing is this would have been an opportunity for her to really get in the ring and see if this was something she wanted to stick with. I mean, she retired a few years ago. She hasn't come back. This was the first time she was thinking about making a comeback. And it would have been a great addition to WWE's women's roster to have a really seasoned talent come in out of nowhere and really contribute right away. Not that they didn't do a good job with the Mae Young Classic. I'll be honest with you. I actually think they're doing a very nice job, both with promotion, the talents they brought in, the variety of wrestlers they used, the legends that they brought back to lend credibility to the shows. I think it's a great mix that they put together for the Mae Young Classic. I'm curious to see what the next tournament opportunity they come out with. They did that Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Tournament twice. They did the Cruiserweight Classic last year. They did this Mae Young Classic. What will they do next year? They also did that United Kingdom Tournament. So what is the next thing they come out with? By the way, if you have any idea what you think that should be, the next thing, put that in the comment section when this episode posts to YouTube. I love getting your comments. I need to get more of your comments. I don't get to hear enough from you guys on YouTube. I get a lot in my email, but not enough on YouTube. I'd love to hear from you guys. I'm going to go into 2K Sports. Apparently, 2K Sports is very frustrated right now because they were hoping at Survivor Series, when 2K18 launches for WWE 2K18, they wanted to have a match between Seth Rollins, the cover artist of the show, of the game, going against Kurt Angle, the special early release playable character. Can you imagine Kurt Angle and Seth Rollins? If Kurt Angle is even half the wrestler he's been his whole career, he and Seth Rollins could really light it up. But it is sounding more and more like WWE's doctors don't think Kurt Angle is going to get cleared to wrestle. They have no plans for him to wrestle at this point, which is kind of frustrating for us fans, but it's also frustrating for 2K Sports. They really thought they could make this happen, and for whatever reason, it just doesn't seem like WWE wants to pull the trigger on getting Kurt Angle tested to find out if he can contribute in the actual ring. SummerSlam, the Raw Women's Championship. So last week the rumor was they were going to have a multi-woman, 4 women, Nia Jax, Alexa Bliss, Bayley, and Sasha Banks in a fatal 4-way for the Women's Championship. Now that match apparently is being scrapped. They don't know what they're going to do with the Raw Women's Championship. It was talked about putting Sasha Banks into that spot again, but they've already done that match. They talked about putting Bayley back into that match, but she's already been done. They just merged Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss, and now they've even given them a women's tag team name, but they have nothing else. Now, I think they're missing an opportunity here, because as much as Alexa Bliss is your heel who is likable, but she's still a tough girl, but she's got that bratty thing going on. With all those character flaws in her character, Emma is just sitting there doing nothing. Emma was actually quoted today as being frustrated with the women's division, getting upset that other women talents are getting more opportunities than she is, and she's one of the longest tenured women in the company. I actually agree with her. Yes, she's had some injury issues. I get it. But you've invested so much money and so much time into her and never given her anything of substance on television. Let her have a run with the championship. It's easy to build her up. People would jump all over her. The promos would be fantastic, especially if you let them become reality. Let Alexa Bliss trash talk about her being Emelina, have it go back and forth, have her make fun of the Harley Quinn look for Alexa Bliss. This could be amazing. Have that heel versus heel match. People would actually love to see that, I think. I also saw a tidbit about Bray Wyatt. If anybody didn't keep score here, Bray Wyatt defeats Seth Rollins both at Great Balls of Fire and on Raw the following night. And everybody's wondering, Bray Wyatt seems to win no matches until they don't make any sense. He wins the World Championship earlier this year just so he can lose it a month later. He wins 2 matches against Seth Rollins, and then Seth Rollins is the one who's put into a main event program. Doesn't seem to make much sense. However, what I'm being told is, and what's being reported on several sites, is that Bray Wyatt picked up those 2 wins over Seth Rollins for 2 reasons. One, Seth Rollins' character is established enough, it's not going to hurt his character to lose to Bray Wyatt. But more importantly, Bray Wyatt will stay a strong heel presence on the Raw brand so he can pose as a challenger to Roman Reigns. The problem is we've seen Bray versus Roman Reigns about 457,000 times. Stop making Bray Wyatt go against Roman Reigns. Turn Bray Wyatt babyface, if anything. Make him a face, make Roman the heel, and then have them go against each other. I might actually be in favor of that. The issue I have is he faces Seth Rollins twice, wins both matches, the feud is over already, Seth Rollins has moved on to The Miz, and now you got Bray teasing Finn Balor, who just started fighting with Elias Sampson. It's such a scrambled egg mix of talent right now. Blows my mind. I'm going to get to SmackDown. SmackDown went off the air about, just shy of an hour ago. And to be perfectly honest with you, I'm not thrilled with the show. It wasn't terrible, but I'm not thrilled with the show. Jinder Mahal opened the show with a segment where he brought out the Punjabi prison. He's trash-talking Randy Orton, and Orton finally shows up, and Orton actually scales the Punjabi prison. For those who don't remember, the Punjabi prison match, you're inside this ring with all these funky bamboo cage around you, and you got to beat the snot out of each other till you can climb through one cage, get to the other cage, and then get out of the cage. And it's obnoxious. Or there's a door on it that you can it opens for 5 minutes every so often or something like that, or 30 seconds every so often, and you have to try to get out. Ridiculous. It's one of the stupidest match concepts I've ever heard of in my life, and I don't know why they brought it back for this. There's other things you could have done with Jinder Mahal that didn't have to be this. But this segment was pretty good. Orton climbs to the top of the Punjabi prison, talks about, this is the view that Mahal's going to have when he loses the championship. He ends his 50th world champion and a billion followers in India and all this other stuff. Great commentary from Randy Orton. The only issue I have is Orton's been missing from television for weeks now. He's been shooting a film. How do you put a guy who's not even on television in your main event angle? How's that happen? You got great talents on the roster that never get on TV, and then you got this. Speaking of great talents who don't get on TV enough, starting to a little bit, but not enough, Chad Gable. Chad Gable does an interview segment with Renee Young that if you get to watch it, watch her face. She almost doesn't even want to ask questions about Jason Jordan because everybody in the world knows it's BS. It's one thing to understand that wrestling is choreographed and scripted. It's a whole nother thing for you to create fake babies. Hey, yeah, Jason Jordan is his love child. Get the heck out of here. Stupid. Don't even go there. Just just talk about him being like a mystery benefactor in Jason Jordan's, Olympic aspirations or something stupid like that. You don't have to make him his kid. Do something that at least you can sneak by the people and it doesn't look stupid. This looks stupid. Chad Gable, on the flip side, has looked amazing in the ring lately, and he should be in line for a real serious push. My concern is they'll put him in the mid-card because they got too many people at the top of the card. I've never understood that. Just book it. Put him against Kevin Owens right now. Have him beat Kevin Owens right now. Owens, just like Seth Rollins losing to Bray Wyatt, Chad Gable beating Kevin Owens. If putting Jinder Mahal in the World Championship doesn't kill a character, having Chad Gable, who's looked great in his latest 2 appearances, beat an established star is not going to look bad either. Mike Kanellis. That's going to take forever to get used to. Mike Bennett. Mike Kanellis debuted tonight on SmackDown. He defeats Sami Zayn. I hate that they're burying Sami Zayn, and that's really what they're doing. Of course, he picked up the schmaz win at the end. You have Maria run into the ring, and the referee's escorting her out, and Mike Kanellis is hitting a cheap shot and then, getting the quick win. I guess that's what you should do with a brand new talent debuting on the roster. It just looks catty and stupid. He doesn't look tough. He doesn't look like he could beat anybody when you make him win in such a stupid manner. The guy is insanely talented. He could have carried Ring of Honor or Impact Wrestling as their world champion on his back. That's how good he is. You get to WWE and now you're making out with your wife every 30 seconds on camera. Not that that's a bad thing. I'm jealous myself. I wish my wife and I could make out on camera every 30 seconds. But the point is, that's not what we tune into SmackDown for. We tune into SmackDown to see people wrestle, not make out with their wife. So we'll have to see how they book him going forward, but I hope he gets a little more physical and keep her out of the ring. I have a tough enough time with The Miz and Maurice. I don't need this too. It's terrible. John Cena and Rusev. So Cena's out cutting a promo. He gets jumped by Rusev. Rusev waves the flag. I'm actually really good with this because this feud, the lead up to this flag match has been nothing. Bored out of my freaking skull. Tired of seeing John Cena and Rusev to begin with, and they haven't even been in the ring yet except for a tag team match. It's been done to death before. I don't want to see it again. So if you're going to make me see it, hurry it up. Get the match going. They should have done this on the 4th of July. This is stupid. A month's worth of build-up to something nobody wants to see. It's fabulous. Great booking, WWE. But at least this was a good way to sell the match. Rusev knocking Cena down, beating him down, and then waving the flag. I actually expect that to happen on Sunday. I'd like to see Rusev win the match. Watch John Cena go back into his obscurity for a little while. I actually have a real problem with Cena in his part-time schedule lately. He keeps claiming to everybody how he's not a part-timer. You're a part-timer. Don't be an idiot and be an insult to my intelligence. You're a part-timer. You're never on the show. You have wrestled 1 match since you've been back. You were gone for 3 months. It's ridiculous. You're a part-timer as part-timer gets. The coolest segments of the night. We're getting to those now. First off, Becky Lynch and Charlotte. So there's a backstage segment. There's a bunch of girls arguing, and everybody wants to face Lana to become #1 contender and all this nonsense. And somebody suggests Becky Lynch take on Charlotte. The match gets made. Charlotte's talking about how she's beaten her every time they've been in the ring. They get out there and they have a fantastic match. Charlotte and Becky Lynch have a chemistry. It's just a natural, innate chemistry. And when they get out there, they have a great match. And Becky Lynch picks up the clean victory over Charlotte, and I love it. I love it that they gave Becky Lynch such a strong win over the established alpha chick. I don't care who the champion is. Charlotte's the main star in the women's division. All right? So to have Becky Lynch win and win clean, fantastic for Becky. Doesn't really hurt Charlotte all that much. I did, however, after the match, like how Tamina and Lana, they've furthered their storyline. You got Natalya trying to go after Lana, and Tamina super kicks her in the face. Tamina is so protective of Lana, you almost get the impression that they may be pulling one of these angles, kind of like, back in the 90s when the Cat and Chyna had their thing going on. That's what this feels like. Lana's going to turn into like the lapdog for Tamina. And I'm okay with that. I am, because Lana really doesn't have very much in-ring skill, and Tamina needs some kind of main event program. She's been in the company long enough that she deserves something better than what she's gotten. The other segment that I absolutely love, the Fashion Police, doing a total play on Seven, the movie. Fantastic segment. They get the horse head in the box. What's in the box? Fantastic segment. And we find out that finally at Battleground, we'll find out what the heck is going on, who's been trashing the Fashion Police's office. Now, we all thought it was going to be American Alpha. Obviously, that's out the door. So, who do you have left? I've run this down in my head. There's nobody left. Unless you're going to have somebody come from Raw which would be very interesting. Have somebody show up from Raw and lay the seeds for a future program leading to the Survivor Series. That would be very cool. Otherwise, I don't know who yet. What are you going to have the Colognes be the team? And we haven't seen them in a little while because one's injured and out for a while. There's rumors that they wanted to leave the company, so maybe you pull off the Colognes, but I don't know. I don't see anybody on the roster who would work for this angle. And I mean, the Ascension thing would have been okay, but they could put that's out. So I don't know who they're going to reveal as the ones behind all this, but I hope they hurry up and get that segment over with. I actually really like the Fashion Police. I think they're so much better than they're being booked, but at least they're doing something weekly on television and they're not getting lost in the shuffle like a lot of the other talents. And the main event, Kevin Owens and Baron Corbin, they defeat Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles in what is easily one of the best matches on SmackDown in months. Great back and forth action in the ring, out of the ring. Owens actually picks up the clean pop-up powerbomb victory, which was awesome. I love this whole part. The whole match. I love to see Owens and Corbin get a win too over the baby faces. Nakamura, he's been close to untouchable since he got there. I'm not talking about he didn't get the beatdown he got a beatdown from Corbin. I'm talking about winning and losing matches. He hasn't really lost anything. So it's great to see him pick up a loss. AJ Styles, he's been taking too many losses lately, but the fans are never going to stop loving AJ Styles. He will always be the alpha for the SmackDown brand, including John Cena. No offense, John Cena. But AJ Styles really has become the face that runs the place. But definitely a weak SmackDown. But there were a couple cool segments. I thought the Becky Lynch thing was fantastic. Fashion Police were excellent. Main event, good match. If you have not yet, shoot over to patreon.com/ProWrestlingPodcast. Become a member of the family. Look, I'm a straight shooter. We got not one person has signed up for Patreon yet. I'm telling you right now, whoever the first person who pops onto Patreon and becomes a Patreon member to the Pro Wrestling Podcast, first person who actually does that, I'm going to make sure we get you on for a short segment on our Going Live at 9:05. I don't need you to be a $50 contributor to get on the show. I want you just to call in. I'll get you the information. I'll tell you what we're going to talk about. You give me your email address or whatever, and I will go over what we're going to do on Saturday night, Going Live at 9:05 for whatever week we get our first Patreon member. And we got to get that thing going. Spread the word, people. You guys are the driving force behind this podcast. You guys are awesome. You tune in every week, so you might as well share this with the people that you know and love, and you know who are diehard wrestling fans. That's all the time we have for this episode. Check back with us next episode. We'll run down the latest wrestling news and rumors. Special thanks, as always, for all the music and sound effects that are always done for us by bensound.com and purpleplanet.com. They produce everything that we put into these episodes. Today's podcast was sponsored in part by Beazle Games, bringing a new friend to family. Game night is easy with sketchy people. Showcase your artistic side in this new game from Beazle Games by going to, wait for it, www.frowrestling.com and clicking the link in the middle of the page. And AlleyRepair.com. Contact Alley Repair today for servicing of all your classic skee-ball, pinball, and arcade game needs. Be sure to shoot over to our website at FroLifePlanning.com for any college, university, or alternate career path opportunities that you need to investigate, as Fro Life Educational Planning is for today, for tomorrow, and for life with Fro Life. I'm Fred Froelich, better known as Mr. Fro. I want to thank you for taking a few moments with us today. If you're looking for more wrestling news and rumors, go to tsjsports.com. And just as a tidbit for those who are also diehard football fans, coming soon to the Fro Football Podcast, we haven't done one of those since the draft. We'll be having our fantasy football preview episode coming soon to the Fro Football Podcast. Until next time, everybody, take care, have a great night, and I will see you in the next episode.